Right then, what's going on, guys? So Javi Gracia, and yes, that is Gracia, not Garcia as many might expect, has been appointed as Leeds United's new manager on a flexible contract. This is the first time I've ever seen that term used in a footballing context, and Lord only knows what the fuck it actually means. I intended on making this video once the man officially had his work permit sorted out, but that appears to be taking an age for whatever reason. Now, if we're being completely honest, Gracia was 4th choice for this job at best, and 6th at worst. The likes of Andoni Iraola, Arne Slot, Marcelo Gallardo, Carlos Corberán, and even Alfred Schroeder, who the fans wanted nothing to do with, and rightly so might I add, the blokes clueless were the leading contenders, but bringing them in mid-season was always going to be a tough ask. That being said, Gracia's appointment could prove to be a blessing in disguise. Obviously, eyebrows will undoubtedly be raised as Gracia most recently managed in Qatar, which is essentially a retirement home for players and managers alike. But his history in the game can't be scoffed at. He's had spells in charge of 12 different clubs across 5 countries. While to some that may suggest he's a bit of a journeyman, you can't take away from the fact that it means he knows how to deal with various different personalities, cultures, and backgrounds, which will be pivotal in this current Leeds dressing room. As I'm sure you're all aware, his Premier League experience with Watford is invaluable. Their batshit crazy owners meant that his sacking was inevitable, but to finish 11th while getting to an FA Cup final in 2018-19 is hugely impressive and undoubtedly the club's best season in decades. Unsurprisingly, they were relegated the following year after getting rid of this man, who had them grinding out results despite being tipped by every man and their dog to struggle after losing their talisman in Richarlison to Everton. Unlike Marsch, whose style of football could only be described as gung-ho for better or worse, Gracia's teams are incredibly organized, tactically astute, and defensively sound, which is the need of the hour at Ellen Road given some chaotic performances that saw the side become too open, easy to beat, and frankly, huge candidates for relegation. While beating the drop is important for every club throughout the divisions, one added caveat for Leeds is that minority stakeholders 49ers Enterprise, who happen to also be the investment arm of San Francisco 49ers, have an option to own 100% of the club and stadium before January 2024, and going down would throw a real spanner in the works of the current agreement in place. Anyone who's actually been watching Leeds' games will know they've been quite dominant in terms of both possession and chance creation, but continuously concede soft goals from set pieces or on the break. That to me suggests there's a side with a lot of potential, but a lack of formational shape and defensive know-how, which is why the swarming high-tempo philosophy under Bielsa, and to a lesser extent Marsch, will have to take a back seat for disciplined, methodical, and rigid football in the short term. Unlike most struggling sides, Leeds aren't where they are for a lack of effort. In fact, they rank 3rd behind Man City and Tottenham when it comes to distance covered, and are only 2nd to Newcastle in terms of sprints, but that energy needs to be channeled in the right way. While Gracia's philosophy is a far cry from the front foot approach of his predecessors, there are some similarities, namely in pressing high up the pitch and working hard out of possession, which is pretty much a prerequisite for any player in his 11. What I love most about this guy is that unlike most modern day managers who are stubborn beyond belief, he doesn't have just one set style of play, instead choosing to adapt to the types of players he has at his disposal, so expect a few surprises tactically moving forward. If, and it's a big fucking if, this man can keep Leeds up, they'll be pushing for a top-half finish with some of the incredible talent they have within their ranks next season. While I don't see him as a viable option for the long term, Gracia could very well be what the doctors ordered for the next 3 to 4 months. 2 wins in 20 and winless in the league since November is far from a good look, but we've seen sides in even deeper shit than this turn things around, so hope is far from lost. The best part about all this is, Gracia's warm, approachable, and above all else, completely calm under pressure, which is likely to transmit to players who will undoubtedly be feeling the heat of the situation at hand. As per The Athletic, Gracia spent much of his time in his job interview breaking down Southampton's 1-0 victory over Chelsea at Stamford Bridge during the presentation, as the former leads his opponents in a relegation 6-pointer this weekend, and is the biggest game of the season for both sides thus far. I reckon the new manager bounce and atmosphere at Ellen Road will see 3 points come Leeds' way, and I'm confident they'll beat the drop come May. Cheers for tuning in as always, folks. Please do let me know if you have any questions down below, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on the video itself. Take care and enjoy your weekend. Peace.